All right, that don't look so good. Greetings, 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 greetings. Thank y'all for joining me. Really appreciate that. As y'all already know, this is Professor Griff. Of course, this is Me in the Dark. Now I gotta shed some light on the subject here. Hold on a second. Why am I always adjusting these lights, man? All right, it's a little bit better. All right, peace, family. It's Professor Griffin. Of course, y'all already know this is the masses. The masses. Backed up by Serious Minds RNT and RNTV, and of course, given to us on this dynamic platform called Black Power Media Reloaded. Shout out to Kalanji and all the individuals over there supporting him at Black Power Media. Really appreciate that. And today we got a kind of a show that we are creeping up on the subject matter. We're learning, well, I am learning bits and pieces about this particular individual and this particular subject in steps and in phases and in little tiny small bites. I'm going to do a deep dive over this weekend and hopefully come back and do a part 2 next week. It's the new Jim Code. What I'm going to need everybody to do right now, I'm going to need everyone look up the new Jim Code, not the new Jim Crow, the new Jim Code. All right, the new Jim Code, and the name is Ruha Benjamin. All right, can we do that real quick while we're getting prepared to come on? Shout out to everyone that's in the building, of course, as always. Miss Tina Ray is in the building. All right. Nola Ryan, thank you very much for showing up. I'm not sure if you're going to show out, but show up. That's a beautiful thing. That's the first step. You got to show up. Shout out to everyone on IG. All right. I see y'all on IG doing a thing. All right. But wait to everybody kind of at least look up the title. The new Jim Code. Jim, you got that code, C-O-D-E. All right. New Jim Code. Noah Ruha Benjamin, pardon me. All right. Phil Joyce is in the building. All right. Amun Ra is in the building. Everybody on IG showing up. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. The new Jim Code. Thank you very much, Roy. Good vibes. Really appreciate you. The new Jim Code. So we're all on code. All right. In the meantime, in the between time, the new Jim Code, reimagining the default settings of technology and society. Let me turn the music down a little. All right, I think that's it. That's the volume I'm looking for. Queen Fatima in the building, of course. Thank you very much, Tina Ray. I really appreciate your support. Shout out to Quan, wherever you at. We're going to find Quan one day. All right. Thanks to my man, Johnny Taylor and Little Goddess for the research. All right. And shout out to my man, brother Rashad the God, we call him. All right. Let me give you a brief description. The new Jim Code, reimagining the default settings of technology and society. From everyday apps to complex algorithms, technology has the potential to hide, speed, and deepen the discrimination while appearing neutral and even benevolent when compared to racist practices, of the previous era. All right. So in order for you to understand what the new Jim Code, C-O-D-E, is, we have to know what the Jim Crow laws was. Can anybody right now, yes, this is, I didn't tell y'all Professor Griff's show on the masses is interactive. So I'm going to make you work. All right. Look up Jim Crow laws, C-R-O-W laws. Professor Griff, could you speak on your thought? No, I'm not speaking on my thoughts on Harris and the election in general. No, I did that for 4 shows already. Nope, you got to go back, Mr. Grady George, number 1. No, I guess on election day I will or something, but no. What I'm about to talk about now will affect the election. All right. So from everyday apps to complex algorithms, technology, and the potential to hide, speed, and deepen discrimination. We're talking about the new Jim Code, the new Jim Code, reimagining the default settings of technology and society. All right. So what we want to do is be able to explore the range and the concepts of the new Jim Code, to explore them and the range of discriminatory designs that encode themselves in inequity. So we want it to be fair and balanced right across the board when it comes to technology. But the question now becomes, is it? By explicitly amplifying the racial hierarchies by ignoring but thereby replicating social divisions. So they're replicating the same old analog Jim Crow. And now that we're in the digital era, there's some new digitized racism going on when it comes to technology, as far as your everyday apps and your complex algorithms. All right, this presentation takes place into a world of biased bots, altruistic algorithms, and there are many entanglements, and provides a conceptual tool to decode tech promises with historical and sociological insight. Ruha will also consider how race itself is a tool designed to neutralize social hierarchies, and in doing so, she challenged us to question not only the technologies we are sold and we've become accustomed to using in our everyday lives, but also the ones we manufacture ourselves. So it's almost like it's built into the coding of the algorithms and the apps that we use. And some of us, unbeknownst to us, are building these same kind of codes into our apps that we are creating for ourselves and for our business. The new Jim Code, reimagining the default settings and technology and society. Ruha Benjamin, please look it up. So what did y'all come up with when we talked about Jim Crow? Can anybody find it for me? What is the Jim Crow law? Jim Crow. I see these people are still kind of signing on. That's cool. I got you. We're gonna wait for you as much as we can. I'm not sure how long we can wait for you, but I'm saying Jim Crow laws mandated segregation in many aspects of daily life, including schools, parks, libraries, drinking fountains, restrooms, buses, trains, restaurants. Yeah, it's just certain laws that they put in place, all right, that ultimately became Jim Crow laws, all right? So it mandated your behavior, how you move, where you could go. Such laws force the travel and the hotel and the restaurant industries, especially with Black people are concerned, to come up with books like the Green Book, which is a travel guide. Many travel guides came out at that time simply because of the Jim Crow laws and other things that was going on in racist white America. All right, Phil Joyce said laws set based on ethnicity. So they put laws in place, which were Jim Crow laws that they put in place based on ethnicity. All right. Okay. Damn, Tina Ray said reckless eyeballing was one of many of the Jim Crow laws. You couldn't even look at white people. You couldn't laugh at white people during that particular time. I'm new to your wisdom and channel. I'm loving your perspective. We are subjective to fluff every day. Good to hear an alternative view. Give thanks, Ebony J. from Detroit. Shout out to Detroit. All right. Shout out to Dr. Khalid El Akin, Black History 101 Mobile Museum. He has many of these travel guides. All right, if you can get your hands on one, please do. You can look up the travel guide called the Green Book, all right now on Google. It might run you $200, $300, $400, $500. Before, the travel guide was like 10 cents, 25 cents. All right. But these have become collector's items. All right. Okay. So now let's just take a listen to our sister, and then we can get a better perspective, because isn't it better that you heard it from her instead of your brother, Professor Griff? And plus, she's pretty and more attractive than I could probably ever be. And she's eloquent, articulate, and she just kind of lays it out. All right. Hold on.
So much for coming out in the rain. It's a thrill to be here. It's a thrill to see so many faces of people who I know and love. I was a grad student at Berkeley when I heard Professor Roberts come and speak, and I've been following in her footsteps ever since. So it's an honor to be here. And I want to thank Professor Dick for reaching out to me so many months ago. It was a no-brainer to come back and be in conversation with you here. I really enjoyed my visit. I think it was last year or the year before, I can't remember. And so it was very easy to work in to my calendar. And all of the co-sponsors for today, the History and Sociology of Science, Professor Roberts' program on race and science, Annenberg, and the Control Societies group.
All right, listen, I'm gonna fast forward this, but what I need everybody on IG to do is to go look up Control Societies on YouTube, Ruha Benjamin, A New Gym Code. All right? Okay. All right, so we're going to skip over some of the preliminary. No, let's let it rock. We're just going to let it rock, and we're going to rock with the sister, all right?
Dr. Lingle, Dr. Sanford, thank you so much, everyone, for what you've done to get us in this room. Please join me now in acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the unceded and traditional territory of the Lenape. Let us also acknowledge the intertwined legacies of settler colonialism and transatlantic slavery, which contribute to the creation and continued wealth of this university and of the nation.
That's right.
We acknowledge the reparations owed to Black and Indigenous peoples and communities and the impossibilities of return for generations past. Let us also acknowledge the ancestors in the room today as we fight together for better futures. We're alive in an era of awakening and mobilization to preserve this planet and all the beautiful creation that is no doubt worthy of the struggle. Ashe.
Ashe.
With that, let me begin with a recent experience I had being a nosy sociologist, walking by two men in Newark International Airport, when I overheard one say to the other, "I just want someone I can push around, ...
Yeah.
I didn't stick around to see how the sentence ended, but I could imagine all types of endings. It could be in the context of looking through resumes, deciding who to hire. I just want someone to push around in the context of work. Or in the context of dating or marriage, I just want someone I can push around in my personal life. The desire to exercise power over others is a dominant mode of power that has been given new license to assert itself, a kind of power that requires others to be subordinate. At the time, I was traveling to speak with students at Harvey Mudd College about issues of technology and power. And so when I overheard this conversation, I couldn't help but think of this advertisement from 1957, Mechanics Illustrated. The robots are coming. And when they do, you'll command a host of push button servants. And then it says, in 1863, Abe Lincoln freed the slaves, but by 1965, slavery will be back. We'll all have personal slaves again. Don't be alarmed. We mean robot slaves. So much going on in this one little page, isn't there? We could talk about it for an hour. But for the sake of time, there are just a few things I'll point out. The first, of course, is just this date, 1957, a time when those who were pushed around in the domestic sphere, wives, domestic servants, could no longer be counted on in the same way to, quote, dress you, comb your hair, and serve you meals in a jiffy. Hence the desire to replace free and cheap labor in the home with push-button robots. The fact is, no technology is preordained. but rather the broader context makes some inventions appear desirable and inevitable.
Right.
Perhaps even more telling is that we will all have personal slaves again. That one little word tells us something about the targeted audience of the ad. Certainly not those who are the descendants of people who were enslaved the first time. The imagined user is gendered, raced, and classed without gender, race, or class ever mentioned. Code words, in this case, encode, interlocking systems of inequality as part of the design process. Precisely by ignoring social reality, tech designers will almost certainly reproduce it. True in 1957 and true today. With that, let me offer 3 provocations as a kind of trailer for the talk, in case anyone needs to leave early or you get bored or your notifications start going off your phone. You'll at least know what I want you to know. First, racism is productive. Not in the sense of being good, but in the literal capacity of racism to produce things, of value to some, even as it wreaks havoc on others. We're taught to think of racism as an aberration, a glitch, an accident, an isolated incident, a bad apple, in the backwoods, and outdated, rather than as innovative, systemic, diffuse, an attached incident, the entire orchard, in the ivory tower, forward-looking, productive. In sociology, we like to say race is socially constructed, but we often fail to state the corollary that racism constructs. Secondly, I'd like us to think about the way that race and technology shape one another. More and more people are accustomed to thinking about the social and ethical impact of technology, but that's only half of the story. Social norms, values, and structures all exist prior to any given tech development. So it's not simply the impact of technology that we're going to talk about, but the social inputs that make some inventions appear inevitable and desirable. Which leads to a third provocation, that imagination is a contested field of action, not an ephemeral afterthought that we have the luxury to dismiss or romanticize, but a resource, a battleground.
The trailer, racism is productive. It constructs. Race and technology are co-produced right along with racism. It's built into the apps, into the complex algorithms. You have to pause for a minute, take a deep breath, and understand what she's saying. He's unpacking a lot right here. All right, so just take your time with it. All right. So the whole idea of the imagination is a field of action that our racism in technology operates in. All right.
An input and output of technology and social order. In fact, we should acknowledge that many people are forced to live inside someone else's imagination. And
we got to reimagine life on what Black life is going to look like, because as she just said, we're living inside of someone else's imagination. Someone else is imagining for us how we're going to be living. So I know your mind right now is racing and it's taking us back to the Jetsons, the cartoon, the Jetsons. Take a look at that if you can, the Jetsons.
One of the things we have to come to grips with is how the nightmares that many people are forced to endure are the underside of elite fantasies about efficiency, profit, and
15-minute cities. She talks about the elite fantasies. The whole idea of, they reimagining how we're supposed to live. Who was it, Charles Schwab, that said that you will own nothing and be happy? Can someone look that up for me to make sure it's Mr. Charles Schwab so I don't give the credit to anyone else? Tina Ray, if you're still out there, look that up for me.
Social control. Racism, among other axes of domination, helps to produce this fragmented imagination. Misery for some, monopoly for others. This means...
Thank you very much. Super Micah J said it's Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I was close.
That for those of us who want to construct a different social reality, one grounded in justice and joy, we can't only critique the underside, but we also have to wrestle with the deep investments, the desire even that many people have for social domination.
Social domination and control. If you start looking up their ultimate aims and their ultimate purpose, all right? Control, global governance. Like I talked about several shows ago, which I'm actually going to do that show next week. Global governance.
I just want someone I can push around. So that's the trailer. Now let's turn to some specifics. Beginning with a relatively new app called Citizen, which sends you real-time crime alerts based on a curated selection of 911 calls.
The name of the app is Citizen.
It also offers a way for users to report, live stream, and comment on purported crimes via the app. And it shows you incidents as red dots on a map, which is so you can avoid particular areas, which is a slightly less racialized version of apps called Ghetto Tracker and Sketch Factor, which use public data to help people avoid dangerous neighborhoods.
Ghetto Tracker, damn. Woo-wee. All right, sister, we following you. We unpacking it with you.
So some of you are probably thinking, what could possibly go wrong in the age of barbecue Becky's calling the police on Black people cooking, walking, breathing out of place? It turns out that even a Stanford-educated environmental scientist living in the Bay Area, no less, is an ambassador of the carceral state, calling the police on a cookout at Lake Merritt. To riff off of Claudia Rankine, the most dangerous place for Black people is in white people's imagination.
Right. Woo, the most dangerous place for Black people is in the minds of white folks, or in the minds or the imagination of white people.
It's worth noting, too, that the app Citizen was originally called the less chill name Vigilante. And in its rebranding, it also moved away from encouraging people to stop crime, but rather now simply to avoid it. As one member of the New York City Council put it, crime is now at historic lows in the city, but because residents are constantly being bombarded with push notifications of crime, they believe the city is going to hell in a handbasket. Not only is this categorically false, it's distracting people from very real public safety issues like reckless driving or the rising opioid use that don't show up on the app. What's most important to our discussion is that Citizen and other tech fixes for social problems are not simply about technology's impact, but also about how racial norms and structures shape what tools are imagined necessary in the first place. This dynamic is what I take up in two new books. The first, examining the interplay of race, automation, and machine bias as an extension of older forms of racial domination. The second, an edited volume on the carceral dimensions of technology across a wide range of social arenas, from more traditional sites like policing and prisons to less obvious contexts like the retail industry and digital service economy. As just one example from this volume, a chapter written by Madison Van Oort draws on her ethnography of worker surveillance in the retail industry, where the same companies pitching products for policing and prisons to the Department of Corrections are also pitching them to H&M and Forever 21 to track employees. And even as she shows how workers are surveilled well beyond the confines of their workplaces to include even their online activity, Van Oort also highlights how her coworkers use technology in ways that counter the experiences of alienated labor, what we might call duplicity at work. On this point, I'd like to just pause for a moment and turn to science fiction as part of expanding our sociological imagination. The clip I'm going to show you is from a film called Sleep Dealers by Alex Rivera. And it reveals in some ways how global capitalism is ever ready to turn racialized populations into automata.
Right.
Mexicans not as migrant workers, but machines that work in the US without ever setting foot in this country.
Wow.
So here's a clip. It's about 3 minutes long. In this scene, you'll see the character as he crosses the border for the first time. So you'll see he's in Mexico, but he comes to America in a new way.
Cerca de la colonia donde vivía, ciudad, estaban las infomaquilas, los sleep dealers.
Este es el sueño americano. Le damos a los Estados Unidos lo que siempre han querido. Todo el trabajo, sin los trabajadores. José está en un matadero en Iowa y María es niñera de una niñita en Washington. Ustedes tres van a estar en una chambota en San Diego. Muchacho, enchúfate. Tu futuro empieza hoy.
And the future starts today. Well, that dude's afraid of heights.
Español.
Okay.
So in this world, migrant workers are replaced by robots who are controlled virtually by laborers in Mexico, carrying out a variety of jobs in construction, agriculture.
I think we're going to pause it right there because I think that's a good way. That's a good way to segue into the next section of what I want to talk about in reference to. But please make sure get the books that she recommended and that she was pulling and that she have written to put this information together. It's the new Jim Code is what we're talking about. The new Jim Code by Ruha Benjamin. All right. Make sure you look her up. I think if we have time at the end of the show, we'll revisit that. But let me show you, or I asked myself the question when I saw this. When I first became familiar with it. And let me show you how I was introduced to it. I think it was some gentleman on TikTok or something, or it just kind of, yeah. Okay, hold on one second. So let me see if I can find that original clip, all right? Let me see. I'm not sure. Reimagining. No. Nope, not that, not that, not that. I probably can't find it, can't locate it. But anyway, the question I asked was, is there a military component to this? Since they have built racism inside of the idea of technology, America's next soldiers will be machines. All right. This article said America's next soldiers will be machines. Shout out to Siddiqui Bakari on the West Coast, who has talked about transhumanism now for ever since I've known the brother, and it's been a minute. All right. Okay. America's next soldiers will be machines. In future wars, U.S. generals want to send robots to face the enemy's first bullets. All right. U.S. soldiers taking part in a human-machine integration, demonstrating the use of ghost robotic dogs, and the U.S. Army small multi-purpose equipment transport, SMET, they call it. Small multi-purpose equipment transport, SMET, seen in Fort Irving, California on March 15th. All right. It says Fort Irving, California, for a long, as the United States has had an army and an infantry, soldiers have stuck by one motto: don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes. Well, that has been thrown out of the window a long time ago. But fighting on the U.S. Army's largest training ground last month, Lieutenant Isaac McCurdy and his platoon of infantry troops, playing a fictional enemy of the United States, found themselves up against a very difficult kind of foe. One with camera lenses for eyes and sheet metal for skin. Woo! They weren't your average flesh and blood men that were fighting. They were machines. All right. Shout out to Rage Against the Machine. All right. They were machines. The same with the local police force. What do you think places like Cop City and other these places going to churn out? They may not churn out soldiers that readily know English or that can respond to you, to go respond to your argument or your protest or your rebellion. All right. It may be machines. It may be half human, half machine, transhumanism. All right. So with what the sister Ruha Benjamin is laying out, my question to myself was, is there a military application to this? And of course it is. They've been having robots. You saw the movie I, Robot. Don't play like you haven't. All right. This technology has been around for a long, long, long time. All right. What was the other robot cop movie? Somebody help me out. I see it in my mind. RoboCop, was it? Am I correct? No, yes, maybe. Somebody help me out. I believe it was RoboCop, right? Yeah, RoboCop, thank you. Man, damn. Super Micah J on it. RoboCop, right. Okay, cool. All right, so what I need y'all to do right now, I need you to look up this movie. I used to present it in my presentation years ago. It is called, the movie is called Upgrade. Look up the movie Upgrade. And Terminator, right, is another movie. Why do you think they're making these kind of movies? They throw Johnny 5 in there. Okay. Johnny 5, Terminator, right? But let's bring it more on the half human, half machine, like Terminator. Look up the movie Upgrade. Can we look that up real quick? Upgrade.
As a quadriplegic, it must be frustrating for you, someone who liked to get things done with their hands.
Here's the thing. 4 guys murdered my wife. If I could find these men, I'd do it.
What if I told you I could offer you something that would enable you to walk again? I call it STEM, a computer chip that has the potential to change everything. It's a new, better brain.
I am STEM, the system operating your body for you.
Can anybody else hear you?
No, only you. May I point something out? In the drone surveillance footage, Sir Brandner, Marine Corps, address 414 Citrus, Newground. We'll need a plan.
I got this.
This doesn't seem like a well thought out plan. I need your permission to operate independently.
Permission granted!
Thank you.
Stay down, man. Stay down, he's got a knife!
I see that. We have a knife too. You now have full control, King Gray.
If you are involved in this somehow, then you need to let me know.
Well, I was in the area, Detective.
There's a gun implanted inside his head.
Stan, what do you think I should do?
Move, Gray.
You are persistent.
I cannot allow us to be killed. We are going to finish the job we started.
You didn't know that I'm a ninja.
While I am state-of-the-art, I am not a ninja.
Damn. Okay. Upgrade. Okay. The movie is called Upgrade. And of course, you're right, Kenny. The Matrix. All right. All right. So now I asked myself, does it have a military component? And then I'm rolling my mind back to all of the movies that we just mentioned on how they fused man and machine. Okay, I got you. Ramu, Universal Soldier. Yep. All right. That was Jim Stone. You on it. That was my next clip. But you beat me to the punch, Jim Stone. Jim Stone said Bloodshot. Let's look up Bloodshot. Bloodshot was another movie. All right, hold on. Do I have Bloodshot? Army test, blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure. Control, blah, 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 blah. Bloodshot. I think I got it, Jim. Let me see. Bloodshot. Everyone look up the movie.
And initiate sequence.
Tina, I'm home.
Memories are made of this.
What is this place?
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you got yourself killed. At RST, we rebuild the most important assets in the U.S. military. Soldiers like yourself. You're the first who we've successfully managed to bring back, but improved, enhanced. With the technology in your veins, you have an army inside you that will not only make you stronger, it will heal you instantly.
Wow.
Now,
Right.
do you remember anything?
Where are you going?
I got unfinished business. I'm gonna find the man who murdered my wife and kill him.
Oh, that's
The name of the movie is what?
All right, shut him down. And initiate sequence. Okay, who is the next target for elimination?
Memories are made of thin.
Tell me, do you remember anything?
Do I know you guys?
I don't think so.
They've been manipulating you.
What you think is real sometimes ain't. And initiate sequence.
You can't control me forever.
Sure about that?
Revenge is what makes a man like you exceptional.
You know nothing about men like me.
That is absolutely fantastic.
I feel like I just heard this. Are they playing this on repeat?
And initiate
All right.
sequence.
All right. So now you're getting closer to my point that I've been trying to kind of make. If what Ms. Benjamin talked about in reference to embedding this racial code, this racial component to what she calls the new Jim Code, I asked myself, is there a military component? And these movies prove that there are. Early on, when I was growing up, there was a television show called, oh, thank you, Terry, Bionic Man and Bionic Woman, television show of the 70s. So you kind of figure in the 70s, I was in my teens. And I remember the Bionic Man. So if that is the case, they've been imagining this and then reimagining how they're going to deal with us in the future. So if they had the technology and they put out shows back in the 70s, Bionic Man and Bionic Woman, thanks Flo Johnson, then of course, what do you think? It would be easy to embed these quote unquote racial codes in complex algorithms. All right, that apps that we use every single day. I showed that on the several shows ago when we asked. Well, I showed when they asked Alexa about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. No information about Donald Trump, but a long laundry list of things about Kamala Harris. These things are programmed. They're in control of these things. You understand what I'm saying? So you said Altered Carbon is the name of the series. What series is that you're talking about? Gafanya. What series? Altered Carbon. All right. Oh, somebody else mentioned it. Maximum Vitality. Auburn, I'm not familiar with that. Can somebody hit me to what Altered Carbon is? All right. It's on Netflix. I'll definitely check it out. All right. I'll definitely check it out. All right. I think I kind of unpacked as much as I can unpack for this particular show, because I don't want to, a lot of times it gets kind of deep and it gets kind of heavy, and you kind of like don't want to overburden and overload people. But it seems like you guys are a well-educated, well-researched audience. You understand what I'm saying? To the degree where a lot of these things you probably already know. And I'm just saying, in some cases, I'm just catching up. All right, Dark Angel. I come in peace. Another old school movie, Man versus Machine. Mrs. Poetic Just. All right, Poetic Just. All right. All right. So I think we'll finish unpacking it. I want to go back to Ruha Benjamin, who kind of set it off for me in reference to this whole idea of the technology, the new Jim Code, reimagining the default settings of technology and society. Ruha Benjamin. Let's look the sister up. Let's support her. Let's get her work. All right. And if anybody know her, tell her Professor Griff said peace. All right. And she got some soldiers out here that's backing her up on the intellectual tip. All right. All right. Anyway, I love you all to life, fam. This is Professor Griff. And once again, thank y'all very much for supporting the cause. All right. Let me say this. Make sure you meet me on the battlefront as far as the music is concerned. Just finished the video shoot last night with my band, The Soul Om, and the first single is going to be called Sacred. You can come hear us perform at this concert we're doing at the Star Community Bar, 437 Malden Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, Thursday night, November 14th. All right, at 8 p.m. it starts. It's called One of These Nights. My band, the Rebel Live Experience, along with Solid State Radio, and along with my other new band, The Soul Om. All right. Okay, we'll be releasing our single, and come check us out, man. It's a vibe. All right, come check us out. Mark the date, fam. The Star Community Bar at 437 Malden Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. It's in Little 5 Points. All right. In Little 5 Points. Go to www.starbaratl. All right, to get tickets, or just hit me up, 678-557-2919. King Simon said your band is fire. Thank you very much. Go find your star rebel. Thank you very much, King Simon. All right. Yes. All right. And let me not forget, we will be in Capitol Heights, Maryland. All right. The Soul Om will be in Capitol Heights, Maryland, along with Soleil on November 16th, 2 days later. All right. At the E-Life Restaurant, November 16th, at 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., located in Kingdom Square, 9033 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland. The lecture is called Musicology. Myself, Professor Griffin, along with Soleil. All right, I'm going to be talking about the holy tones, the God frequency, the vibrational signature, and of course, yep, you're right. I will be in not Nicholas Bookstore, but I am gonna come through the Nicholas Bookstore as soon as I connect with them. But I'm gonna be a couple of places in New York. All right. Soleil is gonna be talking about the sacred sound to awaken the goddess within. Sisters, you gotta come up and check it out. All right. Musicology featuring the Soul Om. Lectures by Soleil and Professor Griff. All right. Make sure you get the Resurrection Formula. Make sure you get my book, Now You Know. And of course, my other book, You Are the Song That You Sing. I want to thank y'all very much for being here with me today. I love y'all to life. This is Professor Griff. All right. All right. Peace, fam. Peace. All right, fam. Peace. This is Professor Griff.